Hello, everybody. Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology, here today with the week ahead forecast starting Sunday, October the 27th. I'm recording this on the 24th, which means that there is 12 days till the US election. So next week's report will take us through that. So because I believe that if you're not in it, you can't win it. If you don't engage, you lose your voice, you lose your power. I'm going to say vote, and please vote blue. Please vote for the women of this country and so on, and the marginalized people. All right. And no party's perfect. So it's a binary choice, though. And this choice and this election is probably one of the most important in our lifetime. But other than that, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you feel like. And leave me a comment. By the way, thumbs down, they help my algorithms too. So you're not being quite as whatever as you perhaps think you are. So on Sunday, October the 27th, we start the week with the Virgo moon waning towards the sun. So we're heading into the dark of the moon. We have a new moon next week. Also, we start the week with, actually, I'm going to take some of these asteroids and things out because I look at the lesser things in my weekly report. So let's take some stuff out. Makes it a little bit simpler for most people. Okay. So we start the week with the moon in Virgo. It's at this point just made its last major aspect to the moon before the 9-degree Scorpio new moon. It's just under 60 degrees apart. We've still got the nodes sitting at 6 degrees, which is the degree that they were at during the eclipses. And they will leave that degree about just after 3 a.m. Eastern on election day, which I feel is significant, but that's for next week. So we've got Pluto at the anaretic degree, still the last degree. I'm sure we'll cover everything as we go, but let's dive in as I look at the aspects. Okay, let me get my aspect list up. Oh, and I think I need to be on page 1 of my aspects, not page 4. So the biggest aspect of October the 27th is, well, I can see it quite clearly, but we've got this ongoing sextile between Jupiter and Chiron retrograde. They're only 10 minutes apart. They're at the same degree, 20 degrees. So the start of the week begins with a finger of fate or finger of God pointing right at Mercury in Scorpio. And Mercury is the guide for the sign that Jupiter is retrograde in. And Chiron in Aries is retrograde too. So both Chiron and Jupiter are kind of revisiting, rediscovering something, rediscovering who we are or our place in it, or what we need to do to unlock the healing, to be the healing that we wish to see in the world, I guess. And then Jupiter is kind of reassessing alliances, information, news, what we're learning, and they're pointing right at Mercury in Scorpio, which has a real penetrative, investigative kind of feel to it. I heard a rumor on Twitter, which I refuse to call X because, but anyway, that I heard a rumor that there is going to be something really big coming out in the news about the former President Trump or Dump or whatever you want to call him, that is bigger than anything we know already. I don't know how true that is, but something like this aspect pointing right into the deep shadows of Scorpio, which has that. Scorpio is a very detective like sign. It probes, it penetrates, it goes deep. Mercury is our thoughts and information and communication. That seems like a really important moment to me on October the 27th. Wow, what a day. All right, so what a start to the week. Of course, this could happen in the lead up to this, not necessarily on the day, but wow. The two quincunx aspects that point to Mercury are exact. On Sunday the 27th, Mercury quincunx Chiron at 2:24 a.m. and then Mercury quincunx Jupiter at 4:50 a.m. So that's a real start to the week. All right, let's move on to the 28th. On the 28th, scanning, we have a pretty big aspect actually, which is Mars trine Neptune. Mars is already softened in Cancer. Some say weakened, but I think Mars in Cancer has this very protective, guardian like quality. It's making this exact trine to Neptune in Pisces. This is all at 27 degrees. The exact point of the trine is at 27 degrees 34 of Cancer and Pisces at 8:30 a.m. But if you look at this, this is activating this grand trine. Now, I'm going to do a longer thing about the grand trine between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. But here we have another mini grand trine, that is. And really, they are all speaking to each other. This is breakthroughs, aha moments, Uranus in Taurus. Mars in Cancer is about what we need to protect, what we need to preserve. Cancer is quite a conservative sign in many ways, but it can be in a good way. And then Neptune over here in Pisces is the modern guide for Pisces, of course. And this really is kind of like higher love and connectedness, interconnectedness. Now, there's one other thing I will say about this aspect, and I just need to briefly add it to the chart, because whenever anything hits 27 degrees, particularly of the mutable signs where Neptune is right now, my spidey senses go, oh, okay. So Neptune is actually in square to the galactic center, which means that Mars is in a quincunx to the galactic center, and the galactic center bringing in new information, bringing in waves of new truths, new knowledge, new understanding, new beliefs. So, this aspect between Mars and Neptune is also going to happen 3 times when Mars goes retrograde. This is really softening for want of a better word, the divine masculine. It means kind of, Venus is going to become stronger, and Mars is kind of softening and going more into guardian mode, in my opinion. So you can see as well, though, that the moon is still in Virgo on Monday. So let's leave that there. And then later on October the 28th, at 9:34 a.m. All these aspects are happening very early in the morning. At 9:34 a.m. on Monday the 28th, Venus, where is she? In Sagittarius over here, squares off to Saturn, and Saturn has now moved to the degree that he will station direct at. And this Venus-Saturn objects can often be a bit of a reality check around relationships, around the rules, but Sagittarius and Neptune and Pisces are very much about faith, belief, trust, all of those things. So you may have a little bit of a reality check around those areas. Now then, if you have anything around 12 degrees of the mutable signs, you're probably going to get really hit by this. This happens to be my moon is at 12 Gemini and my Jupiter is at 14 Sag. So there's going to be some big information come in. But squares, people think they're challenging. Now, it can be, like I said, a bit of a slap around the face with Venus, Saturn, but it can also mean commitment, and it can mean really having a good, hard look at something. And I think to me, this is about your relationship to freedom, belief, trust, all those things in many ways. And my cat is really asking me to go out. I'm just going to pause. She loves to do things like this. It's like, I'll be back. She's out. She's gone out of the room, so I'll be able to finish this. So that's the 28th. There's those two big aspects on the 28th. One a square, one a water trine. So it's quite an emotional day, but it's also really about putting your faith in the future and about the good in people and the fact that we can bring out the higher energies of people, and to my mind. The moon is also still in Virgo all day, the sign of service, meaning, wanting to do the right thing. So on the 29th, Tuesday, the moon enters Libra at 12:29 a.m. and will be in that sign for a couple of days. But I don't believe there's any major aspects. There's not a huge amount of aspects in this quiet time. So we'll move on to the 30th. Okay, so on the 30th, oh, let's have a quick go back there. What was that? Oh, look at that. That's the moon activating Sedna and Pluto, but that's a brief one. And I look at lunar aspects for my paid subscribers on Substack who receive my daily reports. So on Wednesday, the 30th, Mercury, remember, Mercury was the focal point of this yard, but Mercury is moving really fast at the moment. Mercury comes up and opposes Uranus. Now, Mercury and Uranus are kind of like similar vibration, if you like. Mercury is the messenger, the go-between, the trickster, crossing between worlds, the worlds of gods and men in the myth. And Mercury is our mind, our communication. It's the more physical messenger of the earth. Uranus, however, is kind of like the pieces of information that are coming, right big breakthroughs from the cosmos. Okay, Mercury and Uranus are opposing each other in the dark of the moon. Look at this. The moon is now well within 30 degrees. We're heading in towards that new moon that's on November the 1st. And Mercury and Uranus, there's some kind of big explosion of ideas and aha moments and light bulbs and sudden surprises and shocks. More in the news. It's flooding out right now, right? I mean, if we think of the main person in the news in the US, at least one of them, 45, now his vice president, his chief of whatever he was, Kelly, many old people that worked for him are all coming out and saying, he's dangerous, do not elect him. So that's his own people that he chose to work with. Many of them are coming out against him. So, I think there's going to be more news around these areas of the world. Now, I actually just really want to look at one thing. Just a second, because I just had a little moment. No, you're good. It's not what I kind of thought it was. It's okay. We'll leave that for now. I'm going to do another video looking at the predictions again. Anyway, I will be doing that. So on October the 30th, that opposition between Mercury and Uranus is exact at 6:14 p.m. And then we move on to October the 31st. Now, Mercury is still opposing Uranus, really, but on the 31st, we have an exact water trine to Neptune, and it's still within orb because Mercury is also going to come up and trine Mars. And look at this, a water grand trine pointing at Uranus, breakthroughs, news emerging from the shadows, but also it can be empowering thoughts for yourself. This is powerful, again, around trust, faith and security, and really kind of building something big for yourself. So then on the 1st, and you can see the moon finishes in Libra that day, right? On the 1st, we have the new moon at 9 degrees Scorpio. I've done a whole video on that. I'm not going to go into much detail, except to say that it's pretty much unaspected, and it's at 9 degrees, which is endings and beginnings. So it's a dark moon, new moon, no moon phase, and we're ending the eclipse season almost formally at that point because we start a new lunar cycle. But, this is a very potent, deep new moon. And it's happening 4 days before the election. And we've had this deep dive within and to really take a deep investigative look at what's going on and where we're moving forward. So, November the 2nd, and I'll actually be in Seattle that day, my daughter's birthday. November the 2nd, Saturday, Jupiter will actually perfect its sextile with Chiron. So remember, we had that start of finger of fate or God pointing at Mercury. Well, Jupiter and Chiron finished their exact aspect. This is big healing ideas. This is fire and air. This is saying, let's create, let's be passionate about this, let's speak out, all those things about what we need to do. Let's speak truth to power, it could be said to be. Well, that's at 4:08 a.m. Shortly afterwards, Mercury over here. Remember, we had that watery grand trine. Neptune's retrograde, so it's barely moved from that water grand trine. Mercury's moved to the anaretic degree of Scorpio and actually trines Mars. So again, thinking about preservation, guarding, securing, all of those kind of energies. So that's November, and there is more on November the 2nd. We kind of finished the week with a bit of a bang after the new moon. The moon's still in the dark, though. Look at this on the 2nd. So in the no moon phase. So kind of all these aspects that I'm mentioning today are very inward and things emerging from the dark. Mercury not only trines Mars on November the 2nd, Mercury also sextiles Pluto, kind of finishing up that purging, clearing out energy. You can kind of see where all this is going, right? And then at 3:17 p.m. on November the 2nd, Mercury moves into Sagittarius, the sign of truth and freedom, and wandering with an O and wandering with an A, and exploration. And Mercury is said to be in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius. I hate those terms. I think it's about time we change the language in astrology. I've been talking about that for such a long time because Mercury in Sagittarius can be a bit blurts truth, but sometimes that's really necessary, right? So Mercury moves into the sign of Sagittarius at 3:17 p.m. on the 2nd, instantly opposes Sedna, which is associated with huge cycles of change, also big cycles of kind of climate change, but also grief, loss, forgiveness. A lot of these goddesses have those kind of energies. So that's when Mercury shifts into Sagittarius, the vibe is going to go from the deep investigations, with Mercury being at the point of the yod and making all those other aspects, and feeling a little bit stung emotionally, to Mercury bursting out of those potent waters of Scorpio and saying, okay, it's time to move forward, time to speak truth, time to live our truth, time to explore something new. Okay. Then on November the 3rd. Now, November the 3rd is a Sunday, but I always like to overlap a little bit. So I'll probably go over these aspects again. And the reason I do is because some of the things are tied in together. Now then, November the 3rd, 7:36 a.m., Mars opposes Pluto. Now, it's the first of three. I've done a whole video. I think it's a little bit of a reckoning, personally, not just the Mars opposing Pluto, but I actually kind of like that these two oppose each other just 2 days before the election. Mars in Cancer, more guardian, or becoming more guardian because of those other aspects. The moon joins in on that day, early on that day, kind of saying it's time to purge and clear away all of this stuff that we found out and to move forward. Okay. So Mars kind of feels like the psychic surgeon in this case, saying, cut it out. We're done with the patriarchy. Pluto has excavated and revealed what's going on. Mars is kind of saying, we're done. Time to move on. Also on November the 3rd in the morning, I will mention these aspects and then I'll leave it to next week. Mars will move into Leo very late on Sunday, November the 3rd. Talk more about that next week. But the other aspect is that Venus is in Sagittarius, also saying let's co-create the future, let's co-create freedom, let's co-create these new kind of inspirational and aspirational desires. Ooh, Venus opposes Jupiter, the two benefics, so called, and in the sign of truth, understanding, knowledge. Look at this as well. We've actually got a mystic rectangle, which I'll probably talk about in depth to my paid Substack members. But also, not only does Venus oppose Jupiter, so that's big truth coming out, or big realizations, at least, big new understandings. But in a good way, it's like, okay, we've got to move forward from this. Venus will also be in a trine to the shaman Chiron, the key to healing in Mars sign. Remember, Mars is at that last degree of Cancer, complete guardian of preservation of what we're birthing, and saying it's time to be the key to healing within us all. So this is, I'm gonna stop the share. It's quite the week, really. There's not a huge amount of aspects, but what there is very powerful, especially considering where we're at in the world, and with this election. And I know some of you are not in the USA. I have Canadian viewers, I have British viewers, I have Australian viewers, I have viewers everywhere. But I tell you, this election is so crucial for much of the globe, for all of us, and it's going to affect everybody depending on your perspective, of course, differently. So I'm going to say what comes out next week before the election is going to be a game changer. Of course, some people have already voted. I have already voted. So, if it changes minds, I don't know what happens there, but we'll see. There's an air of something big being revealed next week. So I'm going to pull some cards for the week ahead. And as I've been doing, oh, there we go. Okay, so bear with me. I want my lovely book by Angelis Arian because I'm using my cloth tarot. So it's the Tarot Handbook because she uses this deck in this book. So the first, I'm quite excited about the cards actually. And this is funny. Who did I pull this for yesterday? I don't know. Somebody. Like I said, I'm recording this on the 24th, but here we go. This is Ace of Swords. This is mental clarity, inventiveness, and originality. This is the mind that has no doubt. It's a mind that has moved out of doubt and confusion, the clouds at the bottom, and represents creative thinking and the inspired and innovative mind, and expanded awareness and consciousness. So I could go on and talk about all of it, but it kind of speaks to what I said is going to really come out and pierce through the clouds and go have people going, oh my God, now I see. How could I not see before? It's okay if you didn't. It's not too late to change. All right, so let me look once more at the next card. This is emotional objectivity, mastery of emotional objectivity. So this, the Princess of Cups is emotional mastery that has worked through jealousy, manipulation, seduction, and possessiveness. The Princess of Cups has the capacity to offer emotional longevity and loyalty to others. That's the turtle in the seashell, in objective and non-possessive ways. She is emotionally secure, and that's the swan coming out the top of her head, and is able to communicate her feelings, desires, and concerns in realistic and meaningful ways. The crystals on her seashell gown indicate her ability to look at things as they are rather than as you would like them to be. She allows the lotus blossom to go free, a symbol of the trusting heart rather than the controlling, possessive heart. Basically, this entire symbol represents the capacity to state feelings objectively and realistically and with firm conviction, and not to abandon oneself completely emotionally. Nice cards, honestly, for this week ahead. And then let me tell you, or let me get the card up first, the one that we are finishing with. And I love this. The universe. This is the principle of totality, individuation, and wholeness. And look at this, it's got the 4 elements all around in the corners, right? You know, we've got air, fire, yeah, earth, and water there, yeah. Let me read you the quote that goes with this. The universe resounds with the joyful cry, I am. And that's by Sri Abin. This is the principle of individuation, totality, and wholeness. And I don't think I'm even going to go through all the symbols on it. But this really is I'm going to say it's in a growth symbol kind of thing. This is about putting ourselves into the world in an active way. To my mind, that's very Chiron in Aries, by the way. It's about seeing where you see clearly what needs to be done and you do it. And you may find yourself only willing to be creative, productive, and innovative in areas that have heart and meaning. You will not be able to tolerate shoulds of any kind with this card. You will find that you want to make a tangible contribution to the world, to your family, to whatever that is meaningful and assists your family, community, country, or planet in some way. Oh. A big week leading into an even bigger week, but I still have absolute faith that what's going to emerge from in the next week and the days leading up to November the 5th are going to kind of finalize some so-called undecideds, because really, how can they be undecided? All right. Love you. Bye.